Now, you probably heard the phrase that he's got a chip on his shoulder, and typically we take that to mean that the person is bitter or that they're stuck in the past. But what if I told you that having resentment at being undervalued or overlooked might be your greatest advantage? What if resentment, when channeled well, could be your fiercest source of motivation? Today, I want to explore how resentment reveals something powerful about motivation, performance, and the human condition, and how we can tap into it. And this is an undervalued hack that has primarily been used by athletes, but it is not reserved for them. It is something that can help us too. I am Myisha Cherry. I am professor of philosophy at the University of California, Riverside, the author of such books as The Case for Rage and Failures of Forgiveness, and your guide through the messy yet beautiful world of human emotion. So let's get into it. So what does having a chip on your shoulder really mean? I don't think it's just about having anger or holding a grudge against another person. It's much more complex than that. It's a specific kind of anger that is controlled, that is long lasting. But instead of having a desire to kind of inflict violence on another person, the primary motivation is to prove someone wrong. And its primary motivation is to excel and to succeed. So imagine a person who gets overlooked in the draft, or imagine a creative person who's working late at night trying to be their very best while other people get attention. It's that feeling of being underestimated and being mad about it, but also motivated by it. Now, it's a unique kind of anger. And in this way, it's quite different from other kinds of anger. For one, it's not about being angry at an injustice. So it has nothing really to do with being mad at something in a moral sense. It's simply about disproving someone wrong who has discounted you. So it's not about wrongdoing, but proving people wrong. And it's people with this kind of resentment that goes out to outperform expectations precisely because they weren't expected to. So another way of saying it, it's a kind of payback through excellence. The person who has this kind of resentment basically says to themselves, not only am I going to get what I'm going to work hard for, but I'm going to let everybody know you got me wrong. Let me show you who I really am. And the person who stands out in my mind as probably the exemplar or the role model of having a chip on your shoulder is the great athlete, NBA player, Michael Jordan. And we see this chip on the shoulder kind of ideology or mentality really come out in the ESPN documentary, The Last Dance. And in the documentary, it kind of shows how Jordan used slights and his anger at particular slights as motivation to beat the competition and to win. So there's a situation that takes place during the 1996 NBA Finals, and the Chicago Bulls are playing against the Seattle Supersonics. And Jordan goes out to a restaurant, and the coach for the Supersonics walks by him and doesn't speak. And they knew each other. And so Jordan, was basically mad that the guy didn't speak. And in a very popular, what has now become kind of a famous response, Jordan simply says, and I took that personal. Basically what that meant is that he was mad at it, and he was going to use that as motivation to crush them in the next game. Now, him and the team will go on to beat the Sonics in 6 games, which allows him to secure his 4th NBA championship. And as this example illustrates, Jordan was able to use actual slights, perceived slights, as motivation to win, to compete at the highest level that he possibly could. Perhaps you don't need an example or a role model. Perhaps you know this feeling from first personal experience. You know what it's like to be discounted. You know what it's like to be rejected. You know the anger that comes about. And you know that anger in some kind of way has fueled you to be the kind of person that you are today, to accomplish the dreams that you've accomplished so far. Question is, how does this all work? Why does anger, out of all the emotions that we experience, how does it have such a motivational impact on us? Part of this explanation has to do with what happens in the brain when we are angry. So studies have shown that when we are angry, several things happen. For one thing, we become optimistic. So we believe that things can change. Another thing that we know about anger is that it increases our self-belief. So we believe that we can change things. And also, anger makes us less risk averse. So it makes us willing to engage in kind of high risk behavior or to take risks by any means necessary. And if you think about these three things that anger is able to do, I think this helps us make sense of a lot of revolutionary or people who have brought about social and political change. When they have been angry at injustice, going against the powers that be that was much stronger than them, you got to ask yourself the question, I mean, how did they get the nerve to do this, to challenge the status quo and to bring about political change? It's because of their anger, right? Their anger made them believe no matter how bad things were, that things can change. Their anger made them believe that they, out of all people, could change things. And their anger kind of gave them the courage to take certain kind of risks to get things accomplished. And this is not just how it works for revolutionary leaders. I think this is also what happens to us when we experience anger at being rejected, at being slighted. One of the things that anger does is it makes us believe that things could change, that we can get better, that our dreams can be achieved despite the rejection, despite the doubts. It makes us believe that we can change things. It increases our self-belief. So people may doubt us, may not think that we have potential, but we see something inside of us, and that makes us want to work hard to get what we want. And then it also makes us less risk averse. It makes us willing to take certain kinds of chances, no matter what people say. Even if there's a great chance that we're going to fail, it makes us want to try anyway. And that's how powerful resentment is. That it changes how we perceive that situation, it changes how we perceive ourselves, and it makes us, or it motivates us to engage in risky behavior in order to prove everybody wrong so that we can accomplish our dreams and get what we want. And neuroscience helps us understand why this is the case, but there is more. Having this kind of resentment also kind of gives us a reason to care when we get comfortable. And it's so easy to get comfortable. You know, our success is a very long journey, but it's easy to kind of get comfortable with wins. And what resentment does is it continues to motivate us even once we get more success or things get a little bit more easy for us. So just think about Michael Jordan again. I mean, think about it. He had already won 3 championships up until 1996. He could have easily got comfortable. And he knew that it was easy to get comfortable. So he perceived the slight. And that kind of put I guess you can say, a backpack or a battery pack on his back to continue the motivation and not get comfortable with the 3 championships. And that's how powerful resentment is. It allows us to care even when the temptation to get comfortable is there, or even when we get closer to our goals. Another thing that resentment does is it allows us to focus. And it allows us to have a sense of urgency. I mean, the truth be told, studies have shown that praise can dull our edge. But as we've seen, doubt and even disrespect can make us razor focused. Now, you might be thinking, Myisha, we shouldn't care what people think about us. And anybody who needs resentment for motivation, then they are simply weak, or they're simply focused on the wrong thing. But I don't think that Jordan was weak. I don't think that Jordan was focused on the wrong thing. Jordan was focused on winning, and he was focused on getting his next championship. And so I think it takes strong people. It takes a creative person. It takes a confident person to use resentment as fuel. To have this kind of anger kind of requires a strong self-conception of yourself. You have to believe in yourself like no other person can. You have to be a person that's able to thrive in adversity as opposed to crumble under it. This fuel is not for the weak, right? This fuel is really for strong people who can make good use of it. So if you are mad that you were looked over or not chosen, don't feel bad about it, and don't get discouraged. Stay mad. Use your anger at their doubt and their rejection as fuel to help you continue to believe in yourself, move towards achieving your dreams, move with urgency, and stay focused. If you've ever turned resentment into fuel, whether on the field or in life, please share your story in the comments. This is a new series, a new YouTube channel. And so if you are interested in videos like this on emotions, personal growth, human connection, and philosophy, please, please, please subscribe. And if you think this message will be of benefit to someone else, please share it with them. I'll see you in the next video.